Hey, did you eat yet? I'm Victor, and this episode highlights our recent trip to Seoul. Korean culture has taken the world over by storm over the last few years. The most popular and accessible Korean cuisine in America has always been Korean barbecue, or over the last couple decades has gained huge traction across California, especially in LA. Growing up, I had a lot of Korean friends who exposed me to basic Korean barbecue items and kimchi. But it wasn't until much later where I started to explore what Korean cuisine really was beyond that. My wife is obsessed with Korean dramas, and we've always wanted to visit Korea together. So we decided to spend a week in Seoul to learn more about the culture and history, explore important landmarks, and eat some of the best food you can find. Korean food is elite, and in this episode, we're going to share some of our favorite meals we had during our week in Seoul. Up first, an ode to Korean soups. The first meal we had in Seoul was Mugyo-dong, a dried pollock soup. In Korean culture, this soup is very popular and is known as hangover soup. Right after we checked into our hotel in Miseong-og, we found this spot nearby, and this is all they serve on their menu. We just walked in, didn't even need to order, and they just started preparing the meal for us and brought it out to our table. The banchans were delicious, and the soup was so simple but so flavorful. It was an amazing first meal in Seoul, and while we weren't hungover, we were extremely jet lagged. And it just made everything better, and it immediately became my favorite Korean soup dish after stopping by here. The next soup we got was Solong Tang, an oxbone soup. I'm pretty familiar with this dish, but it's not a soup that I've had a lot. Solong Tang is a milky beef broth that's made by boiling down ox bones until it becomes rich and creamy. It's a staple in Korean culture, and thankfully is served at a few spots back home because it's delicious. It's an extremely clean tasting broth, and is generally served with sliced beef, which we ordered a side of here. You're also given sea salt to add to taste, which helps amplify all the flavors. With a bowl of white rice, this dish is up there in my favorites with Korean soups. One of the more common soups we could get back home, I've had a ton of tofu soup in my life, and it's always a great comfort meal. We found a spot that opened up early with a wide array of menu items, as well as hella banchans that were all delicious. The owner was super accommodating and made sure we kept getting refills on all our sides. Just a great meal to start the day. We hit up a Gwangjang market one morning and found the Kalguksu stall that was featured on Netflix. Kalguksu is a noodle soup with handmade, knife-cut noodles. The soup itself is very light and mild, and this was such a comforting meal. Her dumplings are delicious too, made from scratch just behind us. It was hella cool being able to watch her in action, cooking all the noodles and dumplings, plating everything, and serving all her customers in a very busy stall. There's a lot of kalguksu spots around Seoul, and I'm glad we were able to try this one. During our week in Seoul, we were able to try so many great Korean soups. We stopped by a really popular kalguksu spot in Myeongdong called Kyoja, which only offers 4 items on their menu. Specializing in dumplings and noodle soups, the line here gets really long and has been a staple in this area for a long time. And of course, we had to stop for galbitang one night, one of my favorites. We also had a quick dinner at a spot called Mandujip for their dumpling soups and pancakes. Really good, simple soup with great dumplings. And we also tried this Korean chicken soup that had the whole chicken in it. Tasting all these different types of Korean soups were really a highlight of my trip, and I'm glad I was able to try all of it. My favorite experience in Seoul was at the Majang meat market. With dozens of stalls selling so many different cuts of beautiful marbled Korean Hanwoo beef, it was so hard to decide who to buy from. After you buy the beef you want, you get taken upstairs to a restaurant where you're able to cook the meat you just bought. This was the nice lady we just bought from, guiding us to a restaurant. The first spot she took us to was full, so she led us to another one, where we got sat, got the grill going, and got our banchans from the restaurant to enjoy our meal. I had hella fun doing this, being able to pick exactly what meat you wanted to eat downstairs and then coming upstairs to grill it over a charcoal fire. I'd love to come back and do this again. Kwon Sook Soo is a 2-star Michelin fine dining restaurant in Gangnam with a great menu, highlighting the diversity of Korean cuisine with a modern reinterpretation. The prefix menu is huge, where you get started with a welcome drink and a bunch of little appetizers. From there, you get 2 delicious bites of 2 different kinds of Korean beef tartare. Beautifully presented and delicious. Next, we get a Korean pancake with some shoots, beef, and lobster. And then this really delicious bowl of salmon roe, seaweed, and sesame powder. We also added this supplemental item of caviar, abalone, and a 40-year-aged soy sauce. There were a lot more dishes too, and the whole menu was delicious. We finished with a Korean wet-aged steak, along with a mussel pot rice that we all shared. Finally, we got a ton of different dessert options. And this was a great tasting menu to really experience the chef's homage to Korean cuisine, with amazing service, a beautiful setting, and just great food. We had such a great time in Seoul, and this video only highlights some of the food we ate during our week there. The street food in Myeongdong was fun to check out since we stayed nearby, and was just a quick walk over to blocks and blocks of food vendors. And all the food vendors at Gwangjang and all the other markets we checked out were hella good too. And of course, all the other Korean barbecue that we had, plus the fried chicken and just so much more. This was our first time in Seoul, and it definitely won't be our last. Next time we come back, we'll definitely check out other cities as well. Thanks for watching this episode of us exploring Seoul, and I'll see y'all next time. Peace.